All right, welcome everybody. We're going to reconvene at 6:06, and we do not have any information to report out of closed session. And at this time, Mr. Nguyen is going to lead us in the pledge.
Thank you. Please stand and put your right hand over your heart.
All right, thank you. Welcome everybody. Hope this is as fun as it is for you as it is for me. All right, at this time, we're going to do recognition right off the bat. Okay, the ACES Awards. Santi, I believe that's you.
Now, okay. Here, let me.
Awesome.
Always a pleasure to be able to present ACES Awards to our employees who just do an extraordinary job. This evening we have several, so I will try to move it along, but I'm so pleased to be able to recognize these folks. Ask that Mike and Charles come up and join me, please. First person that we have, we need to do something. the first, you know what? I could do this.
That shouldn't be a problem for Lexi.
I need to keep on talking, so if I don't need to, okay, the first person that we're going to recognize this evening is Maya Holt. I don't see Namaya here this evening, but she was being honored because she was recommended by someone in the health office because there's a student who is diabetic and needs coaxing to come into the office every day, and she that has the magic to get the student into the office. We'll make sure she gets that award. And next up is Angela Johnson. Angela, are you here this evening? For 2, usually we have attendance. We'll make sure that Angela gets this award, and she was nominated because she's Angela is the custodian, and she just does an incredible job. She's constantly working to help the school environment, keeping it clean, pitches in with the school's environmental club, student council, and she coordinates collecting things to be recycled. We will make sure that she gets recognized. Actually, no, this person's not here this evening. Susie Rano. So Susie was nominated by Janet Renteria, who's the literacy at Linda Verdi. And it just goes on to say what a devoted, sympathetic, genuine, and thoughtful person she is. And they're really appreciative of the service that she provides. And she volunteers her time beyond the workday to make sure that everybody. I'm still talking, microphone. Next up, Kathy Barrett. Kathy, you have your own fan club here? I have a very nice note that I want to read, and you can face the audience, and then every now and then face the board too, because they want to see you as well. And if you don't like turning around, you can try talking in this microphone. So you were nominated by a parent of Jackson Laird. Do you know Jack? That makes it even better if you serious, because this is what it says. It says, this parent said, I wanted to take this opportunity to send an extra special thank you for Mama Kathy. I think it's great that they call you Mama Kathy. Can I call you that? This is my son's first year at Lincoln, and since the first day of school, she has ensured that she not only greets my child, but so many others. I appreciate seeing her help children out of their cars and into the safety zone, and the smile she wears every morning, even in the blistering cold. Because of her warmth and compassion for each and every child she comes in contact with, I feel comfortable dropping my child off at school and in her care. I just love that, into her care, personalizing the school, isn't it? In all of my years of school drop-off, I have never encountered a more caring and considerate school employee, so willing to make sure children feel welcome to school. Through my observation, she is loved and respected by many parents, and for the many thanks she does not get, I hope that this one is shared with her. On behalf of all of the children at Lincoln, I'll say thank you very much, Mama. Mama Kathy, if you want to come back, we're happy to give you a copy of that letter. Let's give it up one more time. All right, so now we have, two. What's 5 called? Out. Laura Lott, who works in payroll, was nominated a whole bunch of people. So when I call your name, come on down, and we'll make sure that we recognize all of you at the same time. So first off is Brett Booz. Next up is Kelly Chavez Alcorta. Angie Overlet. Celeste Silamenti. Spence, excuse me. How many of you know Laura? She's a person of few words. It's usually, she gets me on the phone and she says, Lexi, do this now. And I say, yes, ma'am. But this is what she wrote. Apparently in ECE, there's a program that you have that's called Behavior Wednesday. Okay, okay. All I know is if it were Behavior Wednesday, my wife would make me go. But if it's Workshop Wednesday, here's what she said for all of you, that she finds those presentations just very insightful and meaningful for parents. And she said, in one sentence, exemplary presentation skills for the Wednesday program. So here's what I know. If Laura's saying something's good, it is. So we want to say thank you for all that you do. You often don't know the impact that you make. I hope tonight you do. Thank you very much. And that concludes the ACES presentations for this evening. Thank you.
Very much. Okay. I'm not sure who's going to do the enrollment report, but I bet somebody is. Lexi, is that you? Quit messing around. Yeah, let's do it. One more lap.
All right, so the enrollment report for this board meeting, total K-8 enrollment 14,066, ECE enrollment 697, giving us a total of 14,763 students. This is a loss of 61 students from our last board report and a loss of 59 students from the same time last year. We currently are serving 997 homeless students and 525 foster students. That concludes the presentation for this evening. Thank you.
Very much. Right. Looks like we lost most of our crowd, but that's okay. I wouldn't stay if I didn't have to either. Okay. I guess we'll give them a second. I guess you might as well, Kim Porter, I guess you can start working your way up here if you want. Welcome for Paiute Pride. Take it away.
Okay, I have to start talking. Mic. Okay, I'm eating the mic. Helping me to present today, I have Dr. Haynes, who is our site instructional coach, and I have Ms. Topper, who is our ASB director. I have 3 wonderful ASB students, and then I also have Ms. Zamora. She's here for support. She's not really, and I also have my assistant principal, Mr. Westreicher, another assistant principal, Ms. Pita, and our amazing counselor. All right, so we're going to get started going over our Warrior Pride time. I'm going to try to hold this mic and advance the. All right, so our SEL time, basically our vision for our social emotional learning time is that all students will develop social emotional skills through their ability to connect meaningfully with individuals of diverse perspectives, cultures, languages, histories, and identities. And we have a few beliefs that are core beliefs for our team. We believe Warrior Pride time is leading to stronger relationships with class peers and increasing a sense of belonging. We also believe that students feel they're being supported by the teacher and classmates and the environment is risk-free. And I'd also like to say that the development of our Warrior Pride time is kind of a journey of the heart, where as a team, we felt that it would be something that would be amazing for our when we look at the Pride Time class, this is a 30-minute class each day where our students learn and comprehend, they learn and comprehend just lessons that will help them with their emotions and their actions. So they learn self-awareness, self-control, and other skills that are important for students to become ready. The class integrates lessons from Capturing Kids' Hearts, Boys Town social skills, our district mandated second step, Capturing Kids' Hearts, and also PBIS. And this class came out of our teams looking at our social emotional learning data. We piloted a survey through Rush University last year, and we were able to get information on how students saw themselves and how they perceive their peers, their teachers, and their whole school community. And then we also looked at our PBIS and Swiss data, and that showed us that a number of our students were being suspended outside of school, and we also had a number of major office referrals. And we also took a look at our youth truth data, which showed that a major portion of that data, or a major piece, showed that our students were having a hard time with feeling like they belonged in school. And the biggest benefit to our SEL class is we have a common language at Paiute. And so we know that every student every day is learning the same exact. That's powerful when it comes to building a school community, a positive school community within with our students, our teachers, and our families. All right, I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Hand.
So our SEL team dynamics came volunteers from the school site, our counselors, teachers, all committed to doing this. At the data, we saw where the need was. And all we saw that we needed empathy. Months we've been working on lessons. Our team meets twice a month, and we look at what is needed, and then we develop everything that the staff needs on it, or as materials. For your pride time, have a lesson. I've incorporated goal setting on Tuesdays. I want to be accountable for what they're learning. And ask them if how they are reacting to others. Best happens to be Friday because that's when they get to do their team building. How often do they apply the but I think it's more of it's test it so that they understand. IS data. Upper.
So with our data, we asked the kids as well when they took the survey about what things they what they learned the most about during their activities. So the big things that supported our data with the sometimes and things like that, the kids add a little bit to us. So for example, when we talk about our own feelings, I learn I need to speak up more. the most about myself when we were talking about what we want from people, and I figured out what I want from people. I learned the most about myself when we had to do an activity that's kind of like doing a book, and we had to write things that would make us great leaders. Also asked what activities they liked the most this year. So the ones that they were about to finish at this time, this was February, walking in someone else's shoes, which I'll show you in a second. The pride activity I liked the most in this school year was when we had to partner up with someone and tell them something to draw, and whatever came close to drawing that, they got the point. The pride activity I enjoyed the most was when we had a ball of yarn and we had to pass it around to each other while somebody was questioning something, and we threw them at the answer. That was actually one of the first activities building that we did in the year. What has been challenging in Warrior Pride, which was where we saw a lot of that sometime data. If I'm being honest, nothing, because the fact that Pride Time lets me lose all of my anger and stress, I'm able to talk to people about what's stressing me out in my class. Time to talk to someone else, trying to stop my habits. One thing I find challenging is when we have to work in groups because I don't like working. Well, I like to be left alone. I have in our presentation some student Flipgrids that they did, but I have actual students with me who like to share.
I am Nazarea, and Pride has taught me to be a Pride has impacted my decisions, actions, and show integrity. Hi, my name is Alani, and I'm from body president of ASB. The best thing we have done
Talked about ourselves and about what makes us who we are. So we always have our learning intention, learning about empathy, sharing good things, exactly what we expected. All right, so this was the slide for Walk a Mile in My Shoes, which was a contest for our kids. They created amazing things. We're very proud of what they did. And in each grade level, we had a winner voted on by, each class voted on their winner, and then they went up against each other in the grade level. We are turning them into posters for our campus eventually. And the winner got a $100 gift card that was donated to us to get. So it was things that cause knots in our stomach. What do we like to dig our heels into? What do we like to talk about? Like the tongue of a shoe. What keeps very cute. Here's some examples of our beautiful finished products that were in our competition for the $100 gift card. Insightful. I eat pride in there. So these are examples in our that are clickable. The staff gets these monthly. Our calendar. So as it draws to a close, our SEL team is going to use our data from this year from Youth Truth, SEL web survey, which we're taking right now, to inform next year's calendar and to look at what our needs are on an ongoing basis. Well, finally, of what one of our Pride calendars looks like. Obviously, that was the end of January there. And then we started with we always celebrate the things that we're doing on campus. Second step, Mindful Mondays. We always have a Mindful Monday activity that the kids really like. Positive Message Tuesdays when we're doing our accountability forums and goal setting. Wednesday is College and Career Day, and that's when we start our CKH, PBS, Boys Town lessons. Those usually go for 2 days. And then Friday is Team Building, which is the kids. And then if they finish all of their activities for the week, they also have extension activities that EIS and out of second step as well.
Hey, thank you so much for your ear today, for being able to present our curriculum highlights. Are there any questions?
How many students? 439. And all of the students involved in the classes, do the three of you enjoy the smaller sizes, or how do you feel about this classroom? I know. It says, who's that guy asking the questions? So, but you enjoy it. Kim, it sounds like a great group with Dr. Haynes and Rebecca and everybody working on this. I know my daughter taught at Paiute for a while, and she thought sixth grade was the best. I don't know. But thank you for coming tonight, the three of you, and that's something for you, I think.
All right, thank you guys. Good presentation. All right, now I guess we have the Cubs program with Kim Cochran. And Kim, girls. Oh, and they got extra help too. All right. Come on down.
Good evening, everyone. Ooh, that's better. Okay. Thank you so much for inviting our Cubs program to come and present to you this evening. They're really excited to share what they do and how they do, and they've got some video segments to share of the children as well. With us this evening, we have Miss Albrecht, who teaches our K-1 Cubs combo class at Monte Vista. Her partner teacher, Miss Rodriguez, who teaches the 2-3 Cubs combo class at Monte Vista. We also have Mr. Hawkins, the K1 combo Cubs teacher from Sierra, and I believe Miss Milberg, the 2-3 teacher, snuck in. Sorry, she did not make it tonight. But she's equally amazing. And so without further ado, Miss Albrecht is going to kick us off.
Hi, I'm Kim Albrecht. I am the first grade and kindergarten at Monte Vista Elementary School. And I piloted the Cubs class back in 2016. And over the years, I've seen the program expand in many wonderful ways. So tonight, we just wanted to share with you what we do and who we are for our most at-risk students in our school district.
He's going over.
You're working? That looks right. The Cubs program began on October 10, 2016 as a kindergarten first grade pilot class at Monte Vista Elementary School. The program was designed to provide a supportive, intensive learning environment to teach grade level standards while also teaching social emotional skills necessary for students to successfully transition back to a typical classroom. And that was quoted from Trish Wilson, our first Cubs supervisor. Lost the slides again. That looks right. CUB stands for Children Utilizing Behavior Strategies. Monte Vista Elementary School has a kindergarten first grade class and also a second, third grade class. Over the years, the program has proven to be successful and has expanded to Sierra Elementary School. Sierra also has a kindergarten first grade class and a second, third grade class. Now we'd like to share with you some student and parent testimonials of our program and also some things that our students do in the classroom daily.
I'm gonna get my whole homework done.
Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what time you're watching this video. My name is Shashrina Gilliam, and this is my grandson, Chaseon Dennis. Chaseon is a part of the Cubs program. Prior to Chase attending the Cubs program, Chase was having a lot of struggles in the last school that he attended. When Chaseon was at the last school, Chaseon what are some of the things you would do at the last school?
Flip gas case, throw chairs, yell, try to climb the fence and escape to school.
Yes, and since he's been a part of the Cubs program, there's been a tremendous change. They've been working with Chaseon diligently throughout the whole process. They've been patient. Chase has learned to use his words when speaking to his peers. He's learned to tell his peers about personal space. He's very attentive and he is very protective of others and their feelings. He uses his words to express how he feels. He also has earned a 4.0 grade point average and has received the Superintendent Award. Thank you to the Cubs program, to Ms. Albrecht and the para-eds for your diligent and hard work with working with the children who are part of the Cubs program. And a special thank you for working with my grandson, Chaseon Dennis. I have truly seen the difference in him, his behavior, and in his life. Want to say thank you?
Thank you.
Zion, what's your favorite thing about being in Cubs?
Work.
Doing work?
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Brown. I was wondering if you could give us an account of how the Cubs program has impacted you and your family.
Yes, my name is Cordelia Brown, and yes, the Cubs program is the best. Before my son was a part of this program, he really didn't know a lot of stuff, and I've seen so much progress. He's a very great kid. He's learned a whole lot. He's just a whole nother person now, and I really appreciate everything that Mr. Hawkins and Ms. Brendan, everyone's doing in the Cubs program, and I really would like to see more.
Okay.
How did you used to behave when you were at El Dorado?
Bad.
What's bad?
Hit people. Don't tell other people.
Okay, so just some bad choices, right? Yeah. And how do you behave now that you're in Cubs?
Good.
Good. And what are some examples of being good here? What do you do here that's good? What are your good choices?
Do homework.
Do homework.
iReady,
Do iReady.
listen at recess.
Listen at recess. That's a big one, huh?
Okay. Good morning. I would like to know, how has the Cubs program impacted you and your family?
Well, good morning, Mr. Hawkins. To our family and to our child, it's made great impact just by the fact that my son now it's more confident to come to school, knowing that he's going to be safe. For me, it's a great thing because in a bigger classroom environment, my son would tend to exit the classroom, wander around, not do any type of work, and having a smaller classroom and with more attention to him has made a great difference. I don't know why he feels more confident and we feel more secure. And in academics, he's made improvements by wanting to at least try to do in his name and some work that in another classroom environment with more kids was impossible, and he would just say no, take his shoes off, put them on the desk and say I'm not doing anything, or refusing every morning to come to school. Now it's different. Now he wants to come and it's good.
Thank you.
Aiden, why do you like being in the Cubs class? Why do you like being in the Cubs class?
Behave.
So you can behave?
Hello, my name is Charlene. My son David McLean is a formal student in Cubs at Monte Vista. He was referred to Cubs due to his behavioral, his aggressiveness in general ed. Cubs is an amazing program. It has helped him emotional, educational, social. The support for him was amazing. Also the teacher, it was a well-structured classroom. She kept an eye on all of them. He loved it so much.
Cubs program is a full program to the Lancaster School District. Over the years, we have changed students' paths in education. We have made connections with our community, and importantly, sorry, we are providing equitable education to our most at-risk students. We hope to be doing this for many more years to come. With that, we'd like to thank you for your time and open it up to any questions you might have.
Thank you to the board for allowing us for listening to our presentation and seeing the work that not only the wonderful work that our students have put in for productive citizens of the Lancaster School District. I will field any questions that anyone.
Question, you have a combination of, is it kinder and first or second and third? Does that combination work and it tells them about who they're in class with, but it's the whole school? Is that why you have that combination? Thank you. I have to say the grandmothers, the mothers, and the fathers' testimony was the most moving that I have seen here in several months. Extremely valuable that they see what it is we're all trying to do and them to report back to us. This is very gratifying.
Anybody else? Well, thank you, guys. Seeing those smiling children's faces is very gratifying. Very good. Thank you guys for your hard work and the presentation. You guys, awesome job. Thank you.
One more question. What was the point of the baseball? Was it to try to hold it all together with their pencils?
To take some technology classes because I put all this into the wrong format apparently. Sounds fine. But the point of the tennis ball was it was actually a team building strategy after a teamwork lesson. So in Cubs, it's a very heavy emphasis on social emotional skills. And the biggest thing is teaching these kids at a very early age how to work together instead of against each other. And I had just taught a teamwork lesson, and that was the exercise that followed it. And it typically takes my class a week to 2 weeks to actually get that tennis ball across the classroom into a bowl on the other side. And they literally can only use the pencil eraser tips. And they have to work together, so it's talking, it's communicating. And the minute any put down or any arguing happens, we stop and they start over. Even if they're halfway, I've had classes where they're almost to the bowl and someone put someone down. Put it down, go back, start over. And they learn how to work together, and that was the point of that exercise that you saw.
I got a question for you.
Yes. Uh-huh.
That the Cubs program is used to help make behavior changes. So how do they actually education?
It's a series of, it's a whole bunch of things. It's one, academics. Usually when they come into the Cubs program, they're behind academically because the behaviors have impeded the learning for so long. So we have to get them caught up academically. So when they transfer or they transition back into the typical classroom, they're not behind because that's going to onset a behavior right away. The second thing is data collection and working with the families. Is the student behaving at home? How are they social emotionally? Are they working with their peers? Are they able to collaborate with a teacher, with their families, with other students and get along? So it's just a series of data collection for 6 to 8 months. Once they prove to be successful in the Cubs classroom, we go ahead and start the transition process, which is very slow. We transition back into a subject that they're very strong at. We pick a strength and they go back in for an hour, hour and a half, and then they come back to us. And then we build on that time. And over a series of 3 to 4 months, eventually they transition fully back into a typical classroom. but it's very slow. And then usually they stay at the school. So we get kids from all out the Lancaster School District. So usually the parents keep them at the school that they participated in the Cubs program, which is a good thing because we can collaborate with the teachers, with the families, and they stay at the school that they did Cubs at, and we usually have a successful transition back. Anything else?
Anything? All right, you guys, great job. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Hey, I guess at this time we have our Citizens Oversight Committee annual report with Jennifer Lindy.
Giles, Jennifer Lindy is the president of the COC and will be providing our annual reports of the COC activities over the last year.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Lindy. I'm the president of the COC. The annual report, the Proposition 39 requires the information for the citizens. For the course of the fiscal year, we have reviewed the bond expenditures and received project updates. The committee has the responsibility to report annually to the board on expenditures of those bond funds. The committee finds that all expenditures were on projects listed in the election language. We further find that no bond proceeds were used for administrative salaries. Finally, we discovered no fraudulent expenditures of bond funds. After the conclusion of my report, you'll hear the findings of the bond audit from Robert Dennis for letting me present this report this evening.
On the committee for all that work. Any questions by anybody? Okay, we'll let the audit presume. I guess Robert T. Dennis.
And Mr. Dennis was not able to make this. But you do have a electronic copy of the audit, which you will be approving later in the agenda. And of course, as always, we're proud to say that there were no findings.
Very much. I guess we'll move on to the CFW bond presentation.
Complex with the microphone. Figured it all out. Okay, here we go. Good evening. My name is Emilio Flores with Caldwell Flores Winters. I will be presenting the board and the public with an overview of an opportunity to establish a new facilities improvement bond program. As a general background, I know the board has been through this a couple times, but I think for sake of an overview, it's important to kind of go over what is a general obligation bond program and how does it benefit the school district as a whole. Firstly, general obligation bonds are a commonly used funding mechanism that finance the vast majority of school facilities in the state of California. They have a lower cost of borrowing than many other mechanisms, and many school districts utilize general obligation bonds for the primary financing of those facilities. The district has utilized other mechanisms in the past based off of community facilities districts. That's a different mechanism. Those are the COPs that are currently outstanding and revenues that are associated with that. This is more of the type of mechanism that was utilized by the district starting in 1999 under Measure A, more recently under Measure L, which is approved by the voters. 12. And we'll go over a little bit of the history of the use and the overall program and opportunity that we have for you this evening. As I mentioned before, general obligation bonds require authorization from the voters within the school district. The district has gone out twice in the last 25 years to seek that approval. The first was in 1999 for approximately $29 million, commonly referred to as Measure A. Measure A was passed under Proposition 46, which differs from Proposition 39, which we were just talking about momentarily. Under that proposition, the district required a 2/3 authorization. That means that 2/3 of the voters that participated in the election had to vote in the affirmative to pass that bond measure. In 2012, a different statute was utilized, Proposition 39. Proposition 39 was not available in 1999. It was passed by the state in 2001. So the district availed itself of this new measure. And as you heard previously, with a lower passage rate of 55% came certain conditions. The first was that you had to have a Citizens Oversight Committee, which you heard from this evening, and perform annual performance audits, which was the item immediately preceding myself as well. And on top of that, for a non-unified school district, for an elementary school district, there was an estimated tax rate not to exceed $30 per 100,000 of assessed valuation. Now, the concept of assessed valuation is very important for everyone to understand, and that is the basis in which your property tax bills are calculated. In many cases, the assessed valuation is lower than the market value of your home. Under Proposition 13, passed back in the 70s, the assessed valuation is based on the assessment that's done by the county assessor's office, and the value of your assessed valuation can only grow at a maximum of 2% annually. So if you purchased a home back in 1950 for $30,000, it can only grow at 2% over time, and so you have a sweetheart deal on your property taxes. Now, if you're like myself, who recently bought a house from somebody who bought their house in 1964, they were paying $2,000 a year in property taxes, and at the time of sale, that assessed valuation gets readjusted to the market value. So as you can imagine, my property tax bill increased quite dramatically, given the current housing marketplace. As of right now, all proceeds from Measure A, the $29 million, as well as Measure L, the $63 million, have been issued. As you may recall, last year, we assisted the district in selling the last portion of the Measure L bonds. So now all the authorization provided to the district by the voters has been, and the district is in the process of spending down those dollars pursuant to the bond project lists that were by the voters in 2012. So even though we've been able to access those dollars, as Dr. Freeze and I think a lot of folks at the district have been communicating over the years, there remains a significant amount of facilities needs throughout the district, whether it is the modernization of classroom, the replacement of facilities, or the new construction of classrooms to house new programs, such as transitional kindergarten, as that becomes a new grade level going forward. Those needs persist, and the funds that have been provided by the state, either through LCFF, either through category spending, one-time funds, and so forth, will be insufficient to fund those needs on an ongoing basis going forward. As such, the district has asked us to look at what are what is the possibility for us to go forward and once again seek authorization from the voters in the Lancaster School District for additional GEO-bond proceeds. And as such, we'll be talking about that opportunity as we move. As I mentioned, historical assessed valuation is the primary driver ability to issue bonds into the future and to repay the bonds that are already outstanding. The way that GEO bonds are repaid is via a property tax that's levied within all the properties within the district. As the assessed valuation increases over time, your ability to issue more bonds becomes greater. As you can see in the presentation, there has been a fairly consistent increase in assessed valuation over time. So if we go back all the way to 2012, when the previous bond was approved, the total assessed valuation, so all of the assessed value within the district's boundaries was about $6 billion. Today, it's close to $11.2 billion. So it's almost doubled over that amount of time. And unfortunately, we didn't include it in here, but we do have records of assessed valuation going all the way back to, I believe, 1995. But if you were to go back and extrapolate, the assessed valuation back in 1999, when the original bond was issued, would have been below that $4 billion goal. Over the last few years, we've seen a tremendous amount of growth. Most school districts, just by the nature of Proposition 13, will have an increase of about 2% every year. That's that built-in assessed valuation. On top of that, additional increases will come from either development, so moving or transitioning land from one particular use to another, so particularly maybe agriculture or open space into commercial development, or that sale of houses. So if you have a lot of residential turnover in the sale of properties, not the rental properties, but the sale of properties, you'll also see that increase assessed valuation. So if you look at the last this current year, we saw an increase of almost 9.2% total assessed valuation. So that's almost an increase of $1 billion in assessed valuation, just to give you an idea of the growth that's been experienced. Now, given the characteristics of the Lancaster School District, you are susceptible to economic shocks. We did see that back in the Great Recession, where we saw double-digit declines in assessed valuation of about 14.4% following the Great Recession. A lot of that has to do with your largest taxpayers. So as we continue to look at how the economy is affected by that, and jobs and so forth, those are things that could contribute to overall development and assessed valuation. But for the most part, folks, it's been a very positive growth. Over the last 5 years, it's averaged about 6.5%. Over the last 10 years, 6.2%, and over the last 20 years, about 5.1%. The board has always taken a conservative approach to assessed valuation, and as such, the Measure L bonds, the overall assumption there varied anywhere from about 4% to about 4.75%. So below that historical average as a whole. So in combination with the increases in valuation, the other thing that is occurring is that the bonds that were issued as part of that 1999 authorization are coming to maturity, which means paid. And so what we're seeing here is that in fiscal year 24-25, we anticipate the district will make its last payments on the bonds for the 1999 authorization. As such, thereafter, only the Measure L bonds will remain. And this creates an opportunity for the district to seek additional authorization and replace the overall tax rate with a new series of bonds. So instead of allowing the tax rate to drop, the district can raise additional funds without increasing any property taxes as it is relates to tax overall. What's important to note for the board is that Measure A accounts for about $40 per 100,000 of your current property tax bill. Measure L accounts for about $22. A new Proposition 39 bond measure would have a maximum tax rate of $30 per 100,000. So even if we were to replace the Measure L tax rate the Measure A tax rate with a new bond series, the overall effect would actually be a decrease in the tax rate paid by property owners today. And so the district has this very unique opportunity to set itself up to continue to maintain the tax rate going forward and allow for the district taxpayers to continue to maintain that tax rate and the district to benefit from additional bond proceeds from a bond measure. Next slide models that. As you can see, in the blue is the existing tax rate. The green would be the new program of $30 per 100,000. You'll see that even with the new bond program in place, there would be an overall decline in the total tax rate paid by voters within the Lancaster School District, and we'd be able to raise approximately $120 million in new general obligation bond proceeds. Now, that number may surprise you, considering that the first bond program was $29 million. The next one was about 68. But as I mentioned, from 2012 to today, the assessed valuation has doubled. So our ability to issue twice as many bonds today as we were back in 2012 makes sense. It's very similar in terms of the parameters of the bond program. And so we'd be able to issue that amount of bonds over time. Now, as you may recall, in Measure L, we had multiple series of bonds, right? So we were approved back in November 2012, issued the first series in 2013, and we just issued our last series of bonds in 2022. That's about an 8-year period. A similar amount of time, anywhere from about 6 to 8 years, would be necessary over 3 series of bonds, we estimate, to access that $120 million. But it would provide an immediate infusion to the district in order to address some of its most serious facilities needs programs for its educational program. As I mentioned previously, general obligation bonds are subject to voter approval. What we're modeling here is a Proposition 39 bond program, which requires 55% approval for everyone who casts a ballot at the time of the election to be held. Proposition 39 also requires that an election must be held at a regularly scheduled election. which means you cannot just plop this on the ballot, surprise everybody, and pass it. You have to either have it at a primary or a regular general election. And so one of the things we try to look at is, how do the districts and voter characters change over time? And generally, believe we have a supportive electorate that would help go forward with this. A couple things have changed in 2012, which is I think for people to take into mind. It used to be that we have a very heavy registered Republican demographic with a moderately sized Democratic one. I don't think that's really changed. I think just a lot of our Republicans went to other. And so if you go back to 2012, that other number was probably closer to 15 to 20%. And I would say that that other has grown most likely from to identify strictly as a Republican Party member. The other thing that's interesting is that there used to be a mix of young families and an aging population. As you'll notice here is that the folks who are 65 and older has actually decreased over time. That used to be a number that's probably close to 35% at one point. And so that the community is actually getting younger in some of these demographics overall. Now, they may not necessarily be showing up at your school sites in terms of kids. If they're like myself, so I'm in my mid-30s. I'm expecting my first kid in June. And so from that standpoint, we all waited a little longer because of the recession and then the pandemic and so forth. So hopefully in 5 years, they'll be showing up for your enrollment report. But we do see that overall these characteristics of the vote electorate are generally favorable towards a general obligation bond program. And there are similar communities that have had success in similar endeavors. I went back and looked, and I know Palmdale did a bond back in 2016. I know there's talk for a number of years about the high school district going forward once again with election as well. And obviously the college has been looking at those things as well. But the components of a successful bond program has really hinged upon two things. One is informing your electorate. Because this would be the third bond program going forward, it's really important to continue to identify what are the projects that you want to put in front of the electorate, and then what are the outcomes you're looking for from those as well. It's no longer as easy as, even though Dr. Freeze and the folks over at the facilities will tell you, yes, we have leaky roofs, yes, we have pipes we need to replace, yes, there's infrastructure we have to go do. A lot of folks believe a lot of that work has already been done. So even though we've had the opportunity of the ESSER funds and some of these other one-time funds from so forth, it's about really making sure that the district communicates what it is that they want to accomplish with this bond program going forward. The other thing that's important to understand about what's changed is that it's now all mail ballot, which means that there is no longer necessarily a push to go to the polls on election day. The election season actually happens now from mid-October to election day instead of that big push at the end. This has driven up participation in elections. We've seen turnout increase across the board. And so people who weren't necessarily participating in these elections previously are participating at a greater rate going forward. And surprisingly, a lot of those are parents. Parents historically are the least reliable set of voters. It's not because they're evil people. It's not because they don't love their kids. It's because actually quite the opposite. They're taking care of their kids, right? You had a plan at 7 a.m. to go forward and vote, and something happened, dog got sick, whatever it may be. But that vote by mail has really enabled parents to be more of a participant in this process. Well, key steps to calling a new bond election. Like I said, under Prop 39, we must go for a regularly scheduled election, which would be either the next opportunity would be either March in 2024 or November of 2024. Thereafter, we'd cycle back into 2026. It used to be that LA County and some of the other counties would hold local elections on odd years. Those have all been consolidated to the even years. And so the opportunities now come on a biannual basis. In order to establish a bond program, like I mentioned before, I think one of the key steps now is really preparing a school facilities improvement plan or some type of a planning document of what the bonds would go to pay, conducting a voter opinion survey. As the district has done in the past, one of the keys here is really to go out there and say, hey, we have a hypothesis, let's go test it, let's see what the support really is out there. I know that a lot of you are participating in the community as a whole. But sometimes it's good to go ask, the voters, hey, what is it that you actually prioritize and want? Well, in terms of legal requirements, you must establish a project list and put together a tax rate statement that's done in collaboration between your financial advisor, which is CFW, and bond counsel for that. And then the district would consider a resolution calling that election. Now, in LA County, those deadlines for March are coming up in November, as scary as that sounds. And for June, those are going to come up probably in late January. Now, under statute, you're supposed to have 102 days before Election Day, but the county has gotten a lot more demanding in terms of its request for documents as a whole. So from a timeline perspective, the reason why we're coming to you today to talk about this is March 2024 and November 24 are really not that far away as a whole. If the bond is passed, once again, oversight committee would have to be established for those bonds, and it could be merged with the other one. And like I said before, we kind of go forward from there. But like I said before, I think really the unique thing that the district finds itself in is the fact that you can access these dollars without raising the total tax rate on property owners going forward, and you're able to maintain that tax rate going forward and access additional funds for your facilities needs, highlighted by the superintendent and Dr. Freed, overall needs that this have. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions you may have or any clarifications. I apologize for kind of running through this, but I was told if I stop talking, the mic stops working. Yes, sir. It's like the movie Speed.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, I like the fact that it's not going to raise. Fantastic. I was worried that it would at first when I was hearing about this. Also, have you heard of the high school or Palmdale if they've going to have something on the ballot? Because beneficial if we could have ours on ballot before theirs, if possible.
I'd say that probably Dr. Freeze has probably more insight over at the high school, having his former colleagues. But I know that they have researched it a number of times, and I think that they came fairly close in 2020 to pulling the trigger. Probably before that, back in 2016. Well, and so I think it's really going to be which way the wind's blowing as we get closer to those deadlines. But it's been something that's been talked for, I think, for 7 or 8 years now, that they'd be going after another bond. It's just a matter of whether or not they do it in the 24 cycle.
I know a guy I could ask him.
I have a question. I'm on the Antelope Valley College Bond Oversight Committee. Been a refreshing change to that campus and how it appears. The students are thrilled with the new they have. When we do the survey of voter opinion, can we have that clarified by whether the person taking the survey is a homeowner or not? I think we need a different message for the renters that are in our community, which far outweigh the number of homeowners. So could we do that?
Certainly. So I think one of the things that we've discussed with the district leadership is that survey is typically conducted by a third party. So because we don't want district influence on that, we don't want necessarily the consultants to influence on that, but the voter data that's publicly available is vast. So for instance, for just about 6 cents a voter record, we can find out if you're a renter or a homeowner. We can find out how many times in the last 7 elections you voted. And so all that data is built in. We can also directly ask those folks as well what their current status is, either a renter or a homeowner. But those are all things that can be incorporated into that particular survey, so that you have that data ready and handy.
And I think it's important for us to be able to match it, because you can have all the statistics in the world from past elections. But when you're asking an opinion of someone right now, I need to know whether they are a homeowner or renter to message that we provide as a district.
Certainly, and just for your own knowledge, currently about 45% of all registered voters within your district are identify as homeowners. But yes, on the specific responses back in a survey, we can get the data so that we have that for you.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you for your presentation. We got some stuff to think about and a list to come up with, apparently. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was very helpful. Thank you.
Drive safe going home. Making those house payments. Okay, I guess we're going to go on to, do we have any other thing for informational items? I skipped over that. Okay, good, because I skipped it anyway.
We don't have any speaker cards tonight, so you don't.
Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to item 13. Full action items, business. We have approval of change order number 1 with Web Builders Construction for Joshua Phase 4. Yeah, modernization and SMP project motion.
Second.
Mr. TP, second by Mrs. Grooms. Questions, concerns? I know Dwayne's got to have a question. Let me down, Dwayne. Come on, you got to have a question.
And if I can't, I have Mr. Ford here, who certainly can. Again, this is one of those situations where you don't know what you're going to find until you open up the walls and the ceiling. And as there's 2 attachments, if you look at the second attachment, you can see in some places on these photographs where there's bright orange paint, bright red paint. That's a place where the contractor noticed wood that had split or was splintered, and essentially those major supporting mechanisms have lost their integrity and they need to be replaced. And that's what this change order represents, is the additional materials and labor to replace those trusses and make sure that our roof is actually solid.
Is a single.
Correct. This addresses all of the discovered trusses that need to be replaced. Dean, is there any more demolition that is going to occur? He's shaking his head no. So we shouldn't have another change order come back for a different building in this project that says, oh, we found some more trusses. I believe this encompasses all of them. So all the roof demolition has occurred, and we still have other walls to open up, but this only addresses roof trusses.
Okay, that answer your question? Kinda. Sure to see it on her. She has a bigger picture.
Really helpful, really helpful.
Tried to look at that on my phone and it's pretty small, so I could see it now. But, all right, well, thank you. Thanks, Dean, for being here. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, we are moving on to item 14. We have individual action items, human resources, approval of declaration of need for fully qualified educators.
Motion.
Rooms. And questions, clarifications? None. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, my favorite part, addressing the board. Individuals who wish to address the board may complete a speaker card and present it and any supporting document to the deputy superintendent or other district official prior to the start of the meeting. Personal information such as student/parent/guardian's name, address, phone number, date of birth, email address, or other directory information as defined in Education Code 49061 may be excluded for the minutes of the meeting by submitting a written request to the superintendent. Board president shall recognize individuals who wish to speak. Individuals wishing to present testimony to the board concerning specific items on the agenda may do so once the item has been moved, seconded, and is on the floor for discussion. Time limits of 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes per item shall be allowed. Board members may ask clarification questions. However, no action may be taken or no discussion may take place on an item not on the posted agenda. At this time, we'll take comments from PTA. One of these days, they're going to be here. CSEA and TAL. I know Gina's here. She just got done grouting. I saw the video. Thank you very much. Okay, do we have any comments from the audience? You said negatory.
No comments.
All right, moving on. We have item 16, consent agenda items, superintendent, items 16A through 16B.
Motion.
Seconded by Mr. Nguyen. Questions or concerns, clarifications, shout outs? None. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We have item 17, consent agenda items, business items 17A through 17P. Motion. Moved by Mr. Teepee. Seconded by Mrs. Torelson. Questions, concerns, clarifications?
It's been busy.
Okay. Going once. Something, Dwayne?
Had another case of has come and gone, and we are just now approving. Tubby?
Yeah, the cancellation of the second board meeting in March threw that application off. It was planned to be on the March 21 agenda. And so when that meeting was canceled, it made it push to the next one. So that's the explanation for that one.
Could be cookies, just saying. That was the rule back in the day. Maybe that was way back in the day. But.
I'm just the bearer of the.
Yeah.
Just put it together.
Just saying.
Try to keep the people in line. It's
well, if we cancel a board meeting, that's partly on us too. So yeah. Any other questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, are we on item 18? I think we are. Consent agenda items, educational services, items 18A through 18. L, is that an L? Okay. You never tell. Motion. Pamela Starlson, second by Diane Grooms. Questions, concerns, clarifications? Shout-outs? Got the dogs. Love dogs, just saying, for the most part.
Have to wash their hands or touching the dog, and then the dog has to be washed after all the students touch the dog. Poor dog. He's going to be in.
Yeah, dog's got to be a really special dog for this.
Also very nice to see
Yes. had to look up what a Gilchrist farm was, but it looks pretty cool, actually. All right, well, if there's no more questions or shout outs, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We have item 19, consent agenda items, human resource services, items 19A through 19G. Ready?
Moved.
Rooms? Question, concerns, clarifications? Up on the lawsuit. Williams uniform thing, we did good. Most part. Else? Seeing none? All in favor? Motion and opposed? Sorry. Motion passes 5-0. Then agenda items, innovation and technology services, items 20A through 20F.
Motion.
Rooms? By second by Mr. Teepee. Questions, concerns, clarifications? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Without, Rebecca here, it's going to be hard to get patients.
You got Brannon, you got Dr. Freeze. I'll pull out people out of the woodwork. We'll get your questions answered. Just fire away. We'll get somebody to do it. We couldn't phone a friend.
Illuminate DNA software services. Where exactly it is that it's needed, and who is in charge of putting it together? Are they already doing this under this software package?
Got him here.
MV Learning.
Oh. Rose out of the woodwork too. Don't get a pin.
Pull those out of the woodwork.
All right, thank you. Any more questions? Got Rose. Rose.
Additional funds for hop, skip, and drive. I don't think that's you, is it? It is?
It is.
Did we not plan ahead, or? We're acquiring additional funding as our increase in the homeless and foster.
Word's getting out, they're using it. Right. Anybody else? Make a run for it. I think that's it. Thank you. Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, I think we're on to legislative and policy discussion. We have some second readings, so if you got any questions about it, now's the time. All first up. All right. I guess we'll move on to comments from the board and superintendent. Start with Ms. Starlson. Oh, you're excited about it.
I wanted to thank each person at awards this evening. Really excited to see awards that we give out, and really thank all the people that are often involved, the people that are behind, people helping the students get out the car. I think that often they go unrecognized and not realizing just how important they are to the fabric of the success of our school district. Next thing, I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the little libraries that were opened about a week ago. I had the opportunity of attending the ribbon cutting rooms, and I think really, really good. It was put on with her and her Rotary Club, and I think it's going to be very exciting. And that was done at Mariposa, Monte Vista, and Jack Northrop. So I think it's a great opportunity for everyone to just stop by and see what they look like, maybe drop off some books, borrow a book. I think that.
Very good. Thank you. On to Mr. Nguyen.
I don't have a lot tonight, just the events in the Dr. Haynes, Rebecca, all of that great report on Cubs program, which is at Monte Vista and Sierra. If you haven't really looked into it, it is a fantastic program. The fact that it helps students learn a little faster, brings them up great speeds, and brings them up with the fact that they feel very self-confident. Get a chance to go to any of the events, ask about Cubs at the schools, Monte Vista and Sierra, please. It is great. Yes, Lindy, thank you. I know you have left for the day, but thank you for doing the audit. I was glad to hear there were no findings. Didn't ask her his secret.
For next time. If the auditor had been here, I would ask her, hit them. Rooms.
Wanted to thank everybody. The depth of this agenda proves that the entire district is in absolute full swing right now. This is a very heavy time. the kids are learning, the kids are engaged, and it's obvious. And I was just my breath was taken away by the grandmother's testimony about the Cubs program. Just awesome. But all of the work behind the scenes, I know we talked about the possibility of a bond issue. And until I saw those statistics tonight, I really wasn't in favor of it at all. Now I'm interested and want to learn more about it because all of our schools deserve to look good and to function well and put kids first. And I think that this facility alone, Parkview, is an example of something that just things went downhill on this building that we couldn't even have kids here anymore. So we do have to invest in our properties and make sure that we're prepared for the future. I am very interested to see what some of those opinion surveys show. That's of great interest to me. And I just want to say that there's a lot going on. There are so many things that I have to turn down that I can't go to because I have other commitments as well. But we have a very busy community even after hours. So the dance competitions, the races, and the different programs. And I'm just really thrilled to see the whole community involved with it. Very much. Great meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Teepee.
Hey, yeah, I was really impressed with the innovation and dedication of our staff in finding out what the needs were for our students and for our schools, and then creating programs and implementing them to address those needs. Especially with the Cubs program, they've really reached those kids, and it was really neat to see the parents' excitement and the excitement of the kids, and the kids could even state what they did before and how they've changed and how they've improved. And I was also really impressed with how they gradually reintroduce those kids back into the program, make sure they're still successful. So great program overall. Great job on that. And then also with the SEL program at Paiute, that was fantastic. They're involved in the whole school. They're all involved in it equally. They're addressing all those kids, and it was neat to see the improvements that have been happening at that school because of that. So fantastic. And also, like Diane, I was against the bond program, didn't want to see any more taxes. But after the information, now I'm very interested, excited to see what we could do even further with our schools to improve them even more.
All right. Thank you. Dr. Marietti.
Well, thank you, everybody, for everyone who stuck around to the end. I want to acknowledge all the celebrations in honor of Cesar Chavez Day last week. I also want to thank Mr. Coleman for providing me with some tacos on Friday afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Nice. I didn't get the tacos, but I was out of town. That's okay.
You're mentioning all the great, innovative, and successful programs, whether it's the SEL classroom or our Cubs program or all the wonderful programs that we're doing both on our school sites and in our apartments. And it's the hard work of all the individuals you see in front of you and throughout our district. Lancaster as a city, we do great things. We do great things for our kids, and we are so supportive, and we are really focused on that whole child and providing everything our children need to be successful. So. Continuing to collaborate and partner and work with our community and our city so that are successful. It's a wonderful place to be, and there's a lot of great work going on. So,
thank you. Not much more to add. I just wanted to another shout out to our ACES recipients. That's really cool. That I especially enjoyed the mama lady that, it makes a huge difference on how you greet somebody when they enter the school. I mean, that can make or break a kid's day. I know, when somebody greets my kids, they're excited about it. If somebody tells them, something derogatory, like, be quiet or whatever, then, they're all sensitive little things. At least some of the ones I have are super sensitive to that. But that's really cool that she takes her time to greet the children and make them feel welcome. Paiute, once again, great school, great program. I enjoyed seeing the students here. It's fun to have them. They really feel, because they will, and that was good. The Cubs program, awesome. Really enjoy seeing those little guys smiling faces and their improvements. Enjoyed the CFW program as well. I've got my house paid off. My house taxes are pretty high, so I wasn't super excited about it, but here they might actually go down a little bit. Kind of interesting to see what our list would be for 120 million. I guess the state would probably double, match, but I want to see what our list would be and what we would do with the money if we move forward. But very excited about that. We do need some stuff. Also, I think that's about it. I thank everybody for staying for the meeting. Thank you guys for bearing with me, and I guess we will close out. I don't think we need another session, and for a motion to adjourn at 7:42.
Moved.
When? I believe that was Mr. Teepee. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody ever opposes that. Thank you.